And I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica. The toughest communities. I grew up in Maxfield, what we call Jungle or Jonestown, that section, right?
All right.
So my reality was that a lot of the young girls get pregnant, drop out of school. A lot of the boys get involved in gangs and guns. That growing up in the inner city also exposed me to a lot of things. And I wouldn't say because it's in the inner city alone, but being in Jamaica is a very sexual culture. The
But
music that we listen to, the things that we're exposed to. So I was very promiscuous, right?
mm-hmm.
I had more than one boyfriend at the same time. I'm having sex outside of marriage. And not caring anything about that. Because me a party girl, I feel look hot, when we
Hey, come
touch the
on.
road, yeah, me I feel
Yeah, yeah,
clean,
yeah. Goody,
right?
goody.
Good,
Walk
yes,
out.
that yes, yeah, you know the thing that it is, you know it, right? But then I think as I navigate through life, I kind of always I didn't grow up in church. I visited church every now and then. Um, you know, every now and then I remember this pastor. He always believed in me in trying to Pastor Paul. I love him to death. You know, he's
Yes.
always trying to share the gospel with me, and I remember telling him, Pastor, we say time, come me nah give up sex, none at all.
What?
Pastor, no, 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 me no know about, me no
And
know
this
about that.
this tastes good right now, right? Listen.
But I digress to say, when there comes a point in your life that you feel like you have achieved so much,
Yeah.
and then you realize no matter how much you achieve, there is still something missing.
Come on.
And I tell people how I came to Christ. There's no one, let me say this, there's no wrong reason to come to Christ.
No.
That's it. So whether you feel sick and then you decide to, you want a healing or whatever it is, there's no one wrong reason. When you come to Christ is what happened after that.
After,
Are you
exactly.
open to
Yes.
really having a relationship with him? No, I came to Christ because I had two boyfriends. The two of them left me. And I remember going to church one Sunday and the pastor was preaching about the love of God. And so I was very embarrassed about who I became. And the truth is people would not know that. Like
Wow.
like based on how I look and I am
Mm.
successful, this ghetto girl should make it kind of
Yeah.
thing. So on the outside I look fine, but inwardly I didn't like who I became and I decided to give my life to the Lord. But the truth is,
Praise
again,
God.
another I want this is another lesson that I want to share with somebody that's listening. If you come to Christ and you're not willing to change and
Mm.
become who he has called you to be, then you'll go back to who you were.
Yes. Come
Listen
on.
now, Denise,
Come
when I
on.
came to Christ, again, within about 3 to 6 months after I got baptized, I was back at the partying. I was back with the man,
Mm.
right? I
Mm.
got back with one of them, so I was still with him having sex. And guess what? Who got pregnant in church?
Of course you. Eh,
Right? So girl got pregnant in church. And then this again to the world, I got pregnant, I should be kicked out of church. But for
absolutely.
me, when I
Culture.
got pregnant, I ran to God because I'm like,
Oh, so you ran with the belly. So
I ran, I ran. I tell people the third person I told that I was pregnant was my pastor. When I found out the Saturday, I booked a session with him, and the Monday I go and tell him. I don't know. There was just no shame because for me, one, I knew that there are many other girls in the church that were having sex. I was just one
the
that
one
got
that got
caught,
caught, right?
right? So, two. I remember the pastor, there's this thing in my church that you had to, when you get pregnant, you had to go to the audience in front of the church to go and tell them that you're pregnant. And this is another lesson. Listen, I'm teaching you all some lessons,
Yes,
I
man.
want you to,
Culture and tradition.
right? And I remember I went up there and I told them, and the love that I received from that
Bless
church.
God. Bless God.
I tell people when I woke up from having my daughter in the hospital, outside of my mommy, that she was the first person to visit, the next person I saw was my pastor and his wife at my bedside. And I know that's why, because I wasn't afraid of this being ashamed. Being ashamed for what? Like
Mm.
God already saw my sin. And if I work that out with him, right? I have nothing to be ashamed of. A few years after, I had bought my own home. Like Jesus opened a door for a 24-year-old to own her own 2 bedroom. No, picture this girl. Remember, I grew up in the inner city, so I grew up in Bordeaux.
Yes.
Outside toilet.
Okay. Yes,
This
yes,
was the
yes.
first time I'm living in a house with concrete, with inside bathroom. In 2013, the end of 20, I was engaged to get married because now you're like, okay, you're a Christian, you have a child, this guy love you, you need to get married because more have some sex and more have
Yeah,
it legally,
yes.
right?
Put a ring on it. Put a ring
Yeah.
on it.
And I knew that he loved me, but
Right.
there's just I started to pray about it, and I didn't feel like this was what the Lord wanted me to do in terms of marrying him. And just ending that engagement was really a hard season. And I surrendered my life at a party. I was at a
Wait,
party.
wait, wait. Did you say you surrender your life at a party?
Yeah. So I resurrendered because remember I would have
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
baptized
mean, that's
before.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm
yeah.
saying
So I was at a
at a
party.
party. At
I
a
was at a
party.
New Year's Eve party with my friends, and I remember sitting there, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I
Wow.
didn't want to do the party anymore. I'd given enough sex a few months before, and I'm like, and to be honest, partying was actually harder for me to give up than sex.
Really?
Yeah, it was, because I've been partying from I was like 12. I've been going into club from I was like 14. Like
Oh,
that's what I'm known
you're the
for.
dancehall girl.
And that, like, like splitting out the
Hey, listen,
dirty
listen
wine.
here.
Yeah.
Listen
Don't
here.
judge me.
Listen
Don't
here.
judge me. Don't
Listen,
judge
no,
me.
sweetie, listen here. Okay, my mom tells a story all the time. My mom tells a story all the time. All right, and all my friends that I grew up with in Portmore, they know. Listen, I'll be on the sound system spinning on Syndicate. Okay, all right,
Denise,
Syndicate.
Denise, you're not talking the truth. You're not
Listen,
talking.
listen. Okay, baptized at 12 Wyman Street Pentecostal Church. But girl, when I was 15, I was spinning on the syndicate dance hall. What you talking about? My mom saw a circus. She said, who's in the middle of the floor? Hello. Bless the
Oh,
Lord.
this is why we connected so good. Stancy already. So I personally had to pray for the desire. Right now, you're feeling like you're stuck. You're like, why is everybody growing? Why is everybody doing things and I'm stuck? The truth is, you have desire, then you have to develop a discipline. So when the desire grows, you develop a discipline to do what you need to do.
My God.
So to make sense, you pray for the desire, you feel desire, but you're still making excuses. You have to develop a discipline devotional for women. Like you mentioned, I'm very practical. Right, I don't believe in this airy fairy Christian walk because, for
Mm,
example, when somebody says stop having sex, how do I stop having sex?
come
And
on.
it's so nice. So you have to do something practically. The truth is, even though I've done a lot, there are so many times insecurities punked me out from going after things. Many of us women weren't dreaming.
Mm,
I felt like women were just settling,
yes.
and they a lot, because I'm a big dreamer from I was small. I realized that a lot of the times they punk themselves out of going after what God wants for them, because one, they feel like they don't believe they don't deserve it.
Right.
Two, they feel like, who am I to get it? Three, people would have spoken ill against them about it. So I think that their insecurity came to life because I'm like, you know why am I not going after all that God has for me? Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember seeking the Lord about it, and He says a lot of women think that the way to get over insecurity is confidence. So
Mm-mm.
and He's like, no, boo, no, Chrissy.
No.
The antidote for insecurity is identity.
Yes,
Because
girl.
when you know
Love
who
it.
you are in me,
Woo!
then you know that you deserve the best that I have in store for you.
Come
When
on.
you know who you are in me, then you will know that you're the head and not the tail.
Come
When you
on.
know who you are in me, it means that um I own a cattle on 1,000 hills,
Come
and
on.
no good thing I will withhold from you. Crystal, when you know who you are in me, you know that the word of God tells you that everything that Christ has done, you have access to, but greater things you shall do.
Woo!
Crystal, when you know who you are in me, you will know that you're a royalty and you're
Mm,
co-heirs with Christ. Crystal, when you know who you are in me, no, you shall not lack, because I'm a God that walk in abundance. So
come
that
on.
is when you will be able to walk out insecurity, because insecurity tells you you're not enough.
Yes.
Insecurity tells you that you don't deserve. Insecurity tell you you're not worth it. But guess what? you are so worth it because I went to the cross to receive everything that you have it that I have in store for you. And
Mighty God.
let me give you a secret. Up till about last year, say about August, people would see me on social media. Oh my God, she's publishing how much books she's you know. And I remember saying to a friend, the funny thing is people don't even know that what I'm putting out there is 50% of what I'm capable of.
Woo, girl. Hold it right there. Hold it right there. Let it marinate for a minute. Let it marinate for a minute. God is awesome. Let me tell you something. I can identify with you because the Lord had to remind me. He said, for too long, you have been tossing your pearls before swines. And what they did was to rip your pearls up and then come to rip you up. And now that you're showing up, now that you're going through this process of rebirth, many are saying, who is she? Not knowing that you've been around for quite a while, not knowing that the gift was already in you. And a lot of women are going through this even now because what you haven't even fully deposited yet. You're just still giving half step because he has so much more in you. You are somebody's destiny helper. You are called to a nation. So we're better look out. They better listen. The table is big, it's spread, it's a buffet thing. We all can eat from the table. Ain't nobody competing, ain't nobody comparing, ain't nobody have time, should have time to be living in imposter syndrome, but to be themselves, to identify who they are in God, and your identity is in God. Go ahead, girl. 50%.
Listen, listen,
50%. Go ahead.
Denise. And I'm sure you and anybody that's listening can relate to being that woman that everybody thinks that you have it together, but in your mind, you know that if I just push a little bit more,
Ooh.
but there's something scary about what if I actually succeed that way? What if? And I think that was a part of it. Like, what if I do make a six-figure income? What if I go on a certain stage?
Mm-hmm.
And that fear of success,
Mm-hmm.
would come. So yeah, like that's how their insecurity came to life.
Wow.
And me, I just want to give my sisters the permission to go after all that God has for them. That's it. Dealing with the unforgiveness issue, right? Having a vision for yourself, just sharing, defining success God's way, right? Just sharing the different tools and practical tips that the Lord shared with me to help me to become. I mean, Denise, I'm a little girl from Maxfield Avenue.
No, boo. You're a diary of a Jesus girl.
Woo!
You are Crystal Day. You are
Amen.
Daylight Publishing. You are
Amen.
God's gift, God's chosen. You are your
Amen.
daughter's mom, your mom's daughter, everything. You are called for such a time as this.